Hi, I'm Nitisa. We have chosen one of the countries in Latin America and the Caribbean to present the summary of its economic indicator. In year 2020, the unprecedented event of COVID-19 had visited economy in Latin America and Caribbean countries severely. The World Bank has stated that the gross domestic product of Latin America and the Caribbean experienced a plummet by 6.722% in 2020. Their blue economies have been hit hard by the arrival of the pandemic, notably in terms of unemployment, export, and import. Despite the outburst of COVID-19, the region of Latin America and Caribbean, which are characterized by many islands, had been suffered by exogenous shock over the years. Natural disasters such as hurricanes and climate change constantly burden the citizens and business in the countries. The absence of COVID-19 pandemic, however, furthered the challenges confronted by the region and prompted the countries to take new initiatives against the new issue emerged. In this report, our team will present a summary of for Belize, a region in Latin America and Caribbean, economic indicators since the year 2020.
I am Holing Hee and I will present our GDP growth rate for Belize. Belize will suffer the consequence of Hurricane Kit process. Figure 1 shows the result during 2000 will be 64.04% reduction in the expected growth rate from 13.02% to 4.682%. This will develop a gap in economic evolution expectations. According to economic commissions for Latin America and the Caribbean, Hurricane Kate affected macroeconomic performance in a number of ways. Property damage, time work, business losses, and crop losses proved to the decline in economic activity. This has a negative impact on livelihoods, although the impact on the population is not uniform. For example, basic living agriculture in the Orange Walk neighborhood, as well as lobster fisher on Amber Reef Cave, unable to support their family due to crop and gear losses. Fishery export earnings are expected to decline in 2001. Export earnings and exports are expected to decline due to widespread damage to tourist areas and export crop growing areas. Whilst there are no reliable data to measure the magnitude of the phenomenon, indicators suggest that poor households are disproportionately affected by destruction and displacement compared to other income groups in the population. The agricultural sector will suffer modest losses in terms of foreign exchange losses. More losses will continue in farming. Overall, consequently, the agricultural sector's value added will decrease. The income loss from power and water is anticipated to be mitigated with value addition gains that exceed the year 2000. According to Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, the first method for reviving the economy is project creation. The planned project main goals are to support disaster victims reconstruct and repair loss as well as record property, new manufacturing and trade operation, and support start the whole process of growth of the economy in general. This will allow them to first enhance tragedy victim living environment and retrieve tangible and financial loss caused by the devastation of Hurricane Kate. Second, improve the design standard used before the tragedy. Third is take out operation and put in place procedure to limit and mitigate serious damage caused by storm and rain. Next method is stage of rehabilitation. Its early stage aims on normalizing the victim living standard while also reopening the economy by addressing their basic requirements and providing basic service. The government must prioritize the victim nutrition, medical and labor needs, providing a receipt and key supply to impacted large and micro farmers and fishermen, financial assistance and low-interest loans, and rehabilitation of various forms of infrastructure. The final method is the stage of reconstruction. This was the most important phase in growth of the economic since it will result in the comprehensive rebuilding for ordinary living conditions as well as the momentum of the nation's social and economic progress. During the past, individual projects will be assessed and priced and organized accordingly following available resources. While storm protection infrastructure and shortcoming and management weakness must be addressed, the main purpose and initiative of the recovery stage are to resolve the direct and indirect difficulties posed by hurricane. The coronavirus disease pandemic COVID-19 has caused the most significant contraction in Belize. Figure 1 shows the economy is likely to fall in 2020 as a result of major decline of travel, production and distribution, as is agriculture. Belize GDP growth rate fell by negative 8.95% from 1.763% to negative 14.011%. 2019 to 2020, shown in Figure 1. The pandemic of COVID-19 caused change in the environment and climate due to global closure, resulting in reduced social and economic activities. Before COVID-19, Belize was a popular tourist destination for bungee jumping, snorkeling, and seeing jaguar in their native forests surrounding and famous ecotourism destination due to its biological variety, according to Sarah Carfaso. The effect of the pandemic are loss of jobs in hospitality, trading, manufacturing, and other industries contributed to higher unemployment during 2020, which seem anticipated will persist into 2021. The coronavirus disease pandemic COVID-19 is halting human activities globally in various sectors including tourism. As a result, countries with heavy tourism such as Belize are experiencing an increase in water quality. The pandemic of COVID-19 caused change in the environment and climate due to global closure, resulting in reduced social and economic activities, driving away international tourists and the ecotourism-driven economy.
Next, unemployment in Belize. Unemployment refers to a situation when an individual is trying hard or actively searching for a job, but at the end they can't find any job. Unemployment also considered to be a key measure of health of the economy. Then, Belize labor market is not in very good conditions because employers are dissatisfied with the quality of the workers, and it makes the new people or new entrants are having trouble in finding job in Belize. Then, Belize has an open economy which is related to the tourism and agriculture, which help to support its populations. Next, unemployment rates by district in April 2019 and September 2019. The labor force survey indicates that the national unemployment rate increased from 7.7% in April 2019 to 10.4% in September 2019, despite a gain of 5,600 new jobs during 5 months period. As we can see in the figure, Belize district had the highest unemployment rate in September 2019 with nearly doubling from 6.8% to 12.5%. The male unemployment grew from 5.2% in April 2019 to 6.6% in September 2019. Meanwhile, the female unemployment increased from 11.2% to 15.7% in September 2019. Next is unemployment rates by district on September 2020. According to the labor force survey of Belize, around 13.7% of the labor force was unemployed. As shown in the figure, Belize district has the highest unemployment rate among all districts, which is at 15.1%, while Orangewood has the lowest unemployment rate. In September 2020, the unemployment rate of female are 17%. Meanwhile, female experiencing unemployment rates of 11.6%. And we know that we can see here the male losing jobs at a higher rate than female, which has contributed to the narrowing of the gender wage disparity. Moreover, the unemployed individuals who were jobless for a period of 6 months or less previous to September 2020, they are having affected by the pandemic prior to September 2020. And also the tourism industry in Belize has been impacted by COVID-19 since March 2020 to August 2020. This slide shows the unemployment rates by sex and district on September 2020 and 2021. By September 2021, the Belize district unemployment rate had dropped by more than half to 6.5% compared to September 2020, which is at 15.1%. So the conclusion is the pandemic COVID-19 really gave much impact on the unemployment side in Belize because of the business closing down, especially related to the tourism industry. For information, the people in Belize, they usually involved in outdoor such as agricultural activities. So as a result, during the pandemic, many people were getting jobless because some company, they unable to pay the employee salary due to the sales performance in that time.
Hello, today I'm gonna present about export and import of Belize. So in the next slide, we can see that this is the pie chart of Belize major export destination in 2019. So based on this pie chart, we can see that the highest major export destinations of Belize is to other countries, which are 42.7%. Meanwhile, the lowest major export destinations of Belize is Panama with 0.2% only. Next, the percentage Belize major export destinations to UK and US are respectively 39.1% and 18%. In this next slide, here we can see that the percentage of export product of Belize in 2019. So this is the primary exports of country of Belize, which is raw sugar, fruit juice, non-fillet frozen fish, and banana. As we can see in this pie chart, the main export of Belize such as raw sugar is 29.6%, fruit juice is 12.1%, non-fillet frozen fish is 10.5%, and banana is 17.1% in 2019. So in this slide, I'm gonna talk about Belize major import sources in 2019. Based on this pie chart, we can see that Belize major import source in 2019 is from US, which is 44.2%. The second country is from other countries with 27.4%, and third is from China with 13.6% only. Meanwhile, the percentage import source from Mexico, Panama, and UK are respectively 10.9%, 2.9%, and 1%. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about import product of Belize in 2019. So the main imports are machinery and transport equipment, food, fuels, and lubricants and chemicals. So As we can see from this pie chart, the most important products of Belize are refined petroleum and petroleum gas with 32.2% and 3.82%. Meanwhile, for the transportation such as recreational boats, cars, delivery trucks, and fishing ships are respectively 5.16%, 3.52%, 2.27%, and 1.85%. Next, the chemicals that Belize imports are packaged medicament, pesticides, and mixed mineral or chemical fertilizer are respectively 2.06%, 2.01%, and 1.94%. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Today, my name is Tokali. I'm going to present about the fiscal and monetary policies of Belize in response to COVID-19. Belize government was aware for the incoming disaster. In 18 January 2020, Deposit Insurance Corporation and the Deposit Insurance were implemented under Deposit Insurance Act 2019 to protect deposits from the risk of deprivation within a limit of $20,000. Based on Belize Annual Report 2020, tenure of Treasury notes was maximized from 10 to 20 years after the amendment of Treasury Bill Act 2020 are effective. In March, fiscal stimulus with a total of 25 million Belize dollars equates to 1% of Belize gross domestic product has been announced to provide financial support through unemployment relief program to employees who had been laid off, especially in tourism sector during the COVID-19 crisis. Accompanied by the unemployment relief program, the food assistance program was launched with a $12 waiver fee of goods provided to households. Justified by the Inter-American Development Bank 2020, the finances are funded by central bank and partially from relocated resources within budget. As such, more than 40,000 of the application of the short-term relief has been approved. The Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Support Program was initiated in 1st August with $28.5 million allocated to provide firms loan and cash, followed by issuing subsidies of 1% out of 7% of loan interest from the Development Finance Corporation COVID-19 Tourism Recovery Loan Program. In 15th December, Belize COVID-19 cash transfer program were introduced to supply cash to the poor and the households. Besides, a total of $20 million from international financial institutions are acquired as an additional emergency fund financing. On 28 February 2020, Belize COVID-19 response project were financed by the World Bank, amounting $6.2 million to aid the countries in purchasing and developing the COVID-19 vaccine. Next, moving on to the monetary policies of Belize. Monetary policies of the year 2020 remain expansionary. On 17 March 2020, as stated in the Belize Annual Report 2020, Credit Direction No. 1, Credit Union Requirement No. 1, and Circular No. 1 were revised to lengthen the time period for classification of non-performing period to 6 months, compared to the original time period of 3 months, to bolster sectors affected by COVID-19 pandemic. The policy is effective until 31 March 2021. Also, risk rate were lowered from 100% to 50% for tourism-based loan to diminish the capital adequacy ratio and capital required to mitigate the risk. Based on the Economic Commission for Latin America and Caribbean, Belize Central Bank lowered 2 percentage factors of the statutory and cash reserve requirements to finance spending owing to measure COVID-19, which is 21% and 6.5% respectively, aiming to amplify bank liquidity on 1st April 2020. Eventually, in the first quarter 2020, credit to public sector increased by 4.5%, with credit to private sector will boost to 68.73% of GDP, in contrast with a percentage of 55.21% of GDP in 2019. Due to the policy as businesses step up lending to finance losses during COVID-19. Additionally, financial institutions such as banks were stimulated to refinance loans in other strained sectors, for instance, restaurants and transportation firms. Based on the government of Belize, followed by the implementation of third guidance notice to furtherance measures on 17 March 2020, interest rate was cut down from 11.5% when the central bank issued loans to domestic banks and enact moratorium on interest and principal payments. Due to an increase in demand for money during the period, brought money grew by 11.7% from 3.16 billion in 2019 to 3.53 billion in 2020. On the other hand, narrow money, which is more liquid than broad money, experienced an increase in growth by 16.9%.
In conclusion, the absence of COVID-19 cases around the world will continue to contract Belize's economy with the international, travel, and tourist sector pursue to be affected as Belize's economy are highly based on tourism. The continual streak of aggregate demand in Belize's economy will keep a pressure on the government's fiscal revenue unless external assistance is provided. In spite of the limited financial support in this harsh period, the policies exposed by Belize are still deemed to be scarce in recovering and sustaining the country's economy. Therefore, Belize government should remain resilient and vigilant to tackle the unforeseen impact caused by the pandemic and cooperate with other international community to stop the spread and losses resulted by the pandemic. That's all for us. Thank you.